Welcome to the Gaelic grounds, where we've seen an absolute stormer of a Munster Championship game between Waterford and Tipperary. 222 to 222 the final score. Jamesie O'Connor, twice an All-Ireland winner with Clare. We saw a bit of everything in this game, didn't we?
Unbelievable, Oisin. Yeah, and it's a pity, I suppose it's a controversy. This may be going to hog the headlines tomorrow morning, because there was some fantastic hurling play from both sides. Tip dead and buried, 10 points down. Look, no way back for them. They were struggling, but the first goal gave them a real lifeline, and the second goal obviously is will create the headlines tomorrow morning. I mean, to me at the time it didn't look like it was over the line, and the umpire made a huge call, and my sympathy, I suppose, with the referee. I suppose he has to trust his officials, and it's just a pity, I suppose, that it's what's going to dominate the headings, and Waterford are very right to feel aggrieved with that decision.
That said, I put it to Derek McGrath that when you're 10-11 points up midway through the second half of a match, you should win it. And he said, you're absolutely right, and we'll have to look at that. How did they not win this game?
I suppose they went 15 minutes without a score, I think, in the second half. They couldn't buy a score. Tip had all the momentum. Brennan Maher was outstanding, I think, in the Tip half backline. Pádraig Maher finally started to impose his will and get involved in the play. Cathal Barrett made a difference. Bonner made a huge impact when he came on, and Waterford just took maybe one or two little wrong options, just couldn't get the ball probably to the shooters in the right areas, but when Pádraig Mahoney got that fantastic score, it seemed to steady the ship. Jake didn't put them, I think, too clear, and you think they're going to see it out from here. But I suppose, look, a credit to Tip, they kept finding a way, I suppose, to keep themselves in the match. And again, Jason Ford showed a lot of courage, I suppose, and character to nail that last minute free, because that wasn't a gimme either. So Tip lived to fight another day, and probably a bad result for Clare as well, with a massive game now coming in Thurles next Sunday. In
6 halves of hurling, Tipperary have been very poor for 3 of them and very good for 3 of them. Where are they at going into that game against Clare next weekend in Thurles?
You could argue they were very good in two of those halves, 2 of those 6 halves. Listen, again, like Clare are fresh, should be fresh coming in, Oisin. They're coming off the bye week now. It'll be Tip's 4th game in 21 days. I mean, certainly the McGraths in particular, I thought, looked a pale shadow of themselves. I mean, and the way they played in the second half, did that take a huge amount out of them? Seamus Callan probably still looks a little ring rusty, but he was still a couple of flashes today of him back to his best. Tip, in one hand, have to take, again, massive positives that, again, they retrieved another lost cause. Will that be a positive for them, or are they teetering on the brink? We probably won't know until next Sunday. Yeah. But I'm certainly hoping that Clare will be able to administer the knockout blow. But while they're still alive, people will have to respect them, and again, as I said, impossibly from the position they were in, they've found a way to keep themselves in the championship. And
Waterford are back at home here in Limerick next weekend against Limerick. How are they looking going into that one? Because today there was so much to take from it in a positive sense, but ultimately they've drawn a game that they probably should have won. Keep in mind, they were playing against 14 men for the entirety of the second half.
Yeah, and again, I suppose if you'd handed Derek McGrath a point boarding the bus this morning, I think he'd have bitten your hand off for it. They will have Kevin Moran back next week. That's a huge plus to have. Maurice Shannon.
Do they have more of a threat up front now from what you've seen? Because Tom Devine scored 1-2 in the second half, or in the first half, and they did win a lot of ball. Yeah, and primary possession.
Yeah, and I thought they should have maybe tried to be more direct and get more ball into Tom Devine, because he was causing huge problems on the edge of the square, and even if he wasn't scoring it directly, he was keeping the ball in there. Pádraig Mahoney I thought again was deadly from frees today. Got crucial scores from at different stages of the match. Jamie Barron, I think, got 3 from play today. He was way more involved than he was last week. So there are a lot of positives there.
Do they need more out of Austin Gleeson?
They do, yeah. But again, listen, it was his first championship match. Oisin, he had a couple of wides early on. He probably had 3 wides, and just didn't maybe have the same confidence in himself, maybe. But I thought he grew into it as the game progressed. So he'll be better for that next Sunday. But coming back to the Gaelic grounds with the Limerick tails up after their performance last night, it's not going to be easy. But what a Munster Championship is turning out to be, and the Limerick crowd will be here en masse next week, and I'm sure a lot of Waterford supporters that didn't make the journey to Limerick today will be making sure they're here to get behind the team after that Herculean effort again today. It's a different format, but it's still the same old Munster Championship. It's blood and thunder, and it's exquisite, and Leinster isn't bad either. From Jamesie and I here in the Gaelic grounds, it's goodbye.